I don't know if it's picking up, but there's going to be cat playing noises. I fed them to keep them out of my hair, and now they're playing. That's fine. During my last premiere, Charles Pentrose said, hey, it'd be cool to have the Oatmeal Raisin Cookies of Doom recipe. So that's what we're doing today. This video made possible thanks to the continuing support of viewers, patrons, and PayPal pals like you. Thanks! This isn't what I thought I'd be doing next, but we had a bronchial setback and, like, to be gross, nose, even though I took Sudafed, it's just like a spigot. So if you hear me sniffing, I'm terribly sorry, but that's why. Yeah, so I've been feeling like garbage. And also for the past 2 years now, January has been Intractable Dizziness Month. So that's cool. Love that for me. Yeah, so when Charles suggested that and then body getting re-slammed, it's like, okay, yeah, let us make the Oatmeal Raisin Cookies of Doom. This is a deep cut of a joke. If you're not familiar or if you're new to the channel, hi, I usually don't bake. Way back, 12 Rules for Life. I need to look up when exactly it was, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty early into things. The Oatmeal Raisin Cookie of Doom originated because, to me, they are chaos cookies incarnate, doom incarnate. Because usually I see them and it doesn't register that those are full of oatmeal and raisins. I think it's chocolate chips. So I just take it, bite it, and like, no, this is not what I wanted at all. No, no, no. Fear not, dear viewer. These cookies are not going to go to waste. These are probably my husband's favorite cookies. So he's definitely going to eat them. Although we'll see if he likes the extra chaos version, because there's going to be extra chaos added. We need to figure out what the best Oatmeal Raisin Cookie of Doom recipe is. So we are going to try 2 recipes, 2 versions. This is going to be a lot of cookies. As such, we are halving the different recipes. One is America Test Kitchen recipe, and the other is a New York Times recipe. The America Test Kitchen one is more oat forward, and I think my husband's gonna like that because he doesn't really like sweet things necessarily. And the New York Times one is more spicy, like spiced. So we have those 2 versions, and then we're gonna add some extra chaos, and you'll see what that means when we get there. So with all of that said, let me get the Plost Mises and we can get started. And I need more table space. The table I usually use is at a friend's house, so yeah, we host game night sometimes, so we have a ton of like foldy tables. We're starting with the New York Times one by Melissa Clark. Link is in the description. And pro to this recipe is it put things in metric and weight, which I love. Con is it printed like garbage. Okay, so step 1, we heat the oven, check, and cookie sheets are fine. Using an electric mixer, which means we need the Arctic Fox. Oh, Arctic Fox. Yay, okay. Why wouldn't the KitchenAid have a grounded plug? Of course, obviously. Toby. I fed you so you wouldn't be underfoot. Electric mixer, beat butter in a large bowl until creamy. The full recipe is 2 sticks or 1 cup. I can math. So I need half a cup, which is 1 stick. No, wait. Hello? Hi, thank you. Yeah, that probably was foreseeable. I mean, I softened it. So it says to do the butter until creamy and then add the sugar. We're gonna add some of the sugar now. So we're gonna start with the white sugar, 66 grams or half a cup, third of a cup. So this is 33 grams of white sugar, and hopefully this is enough to eat into that butter. Salsa bowls also make good mise en place bowls. Good. We are off to a swinging start. It's not baking on a video if everything doesn't go wrong, is it? No.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
I should have started with the paddle. Live and learn, maybe. This is not going well. I can't cream sugar, it sucks. Hey, it's sort of like teaching. It's a known fact. Your intelligence drops in front of the camera, just like in front of the classroom. I blame that. Okay, we're also just gonna throw the brown sugar in, which is 1 cup or 200 grams. So this is 100 grams going in now. It wanted dark. This is light. I know you can sort of correct with molasses, but you already see how this is going. We're not going to attempt it. This table wasn't meant for this. Why did I think the whisk was the right thing? Other than continuing optimism on my part of how well a whisk is going to work? It sucks. It's also not baking unless you get every single utensil and bowl and pan dirty. We are well on our way for that. I think that's as good as we're gonna get. Scrape it out one more time and we add the egg. It wants 2 eggs. We're using 1. If you're making the full recipe and you're just going off of me for some reason instead of the actual person, once you add 1 egg at a time. Until fully incorporated. Scrapey, scrapey. We're gonna say that's incorporated enough because we're not even close to done. Okay, so next we are adding vanilla extract of a 1/2 tablespoon. Okay, it wants a full tablespoon. We're adding 1/2. Oh my God, that's a lot of vanilla. Double check that because holy shit. Tablespoon. And thankfully these have the metric on here too. So it's not a typo because it says 15 milliliters for a tablespoon. That's gonna be so much vanilla. Whatever you say, Melissa. Jesus. In a separate bowl. It wants us in a separate bowl, use a wooden spoon or spatula to mix together the flour. And this is 1/2 of 1.5 cups of flour. So by weight, that is 93.5 grams. All-purpose flour. And we're making the dry team basically. Salt. 1/2 of 3/4 of a teaspoon. And you are just gonna be a mess, aren't you? And let's even do it this way so I don't accidentally put in too much salt. Because the shakies are back too. Just like that. I imagine it's just because January sucks for me. For whatever reason. Baking soda. Calls for a full teaspoon. You know the drill. 1/2 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon ground cinnamon. We're using this because my coordination's hot garbage, so I hate to think how much I would hurt myself. Although, hurt myself creating it, but then I'm doing this. I'm an adult. Butter knife. Safety knife, right? Please? Okay, you know what? Fine. Lift to pour, it says. Now you want to come off? Dick move, cinnamon. Dick move. Right, we're putting in 1/2 teaspoon and nutmeg. Nutmeg. We are grating the nutmeg because it would just be sacrilege to not. It wants a 1/4 teaspoon.
12 seconds later.
Ish. Ballpark. Cardamom. I thought we had cardamom, otherwise I would have got some, but we do not. So instead, we are going to use the other ingredient listed here, which is ginger. And it wants a 1/4 teaspoon, so we're going to again use 1/2 of that. Okay, so now we beat into the butter mixture. Yes. Just making sure I can add the fun ingredient. I don't like where it is yet. And I just dropped the dry team on the floor. That happened. I remade the dry team, and now I'm surprised it wants us to do it with the mixer, because normally my understanding is you add the wet to the dry, and also you don't beat the ever-loving fuck out of it, but what do I know? Here we go. Don't look over there. That's the problem for future me. Low speed. Okay, so then it wants us to stir in the oats and the raisins. Okay, so now we get to the chunky ingredients. So we're gonna do this by hand, and also because we're gonna split this in two and add the extra chaos to half of this. But with that, we are done with the Arctic Fox. So, despite the tragedy, modicum of foresight, I know how much the bowl weighs. So I just need to get 206 in there. See, I am fully on board with where this cookie is at right now. I'm gonna add things that just ruin it. 206, 206, 206, good. Although that means I need to divide the oats. Teach me to not read the recipe. On the dot, yes. I need a little one after that. Flour can deodorize carpet, right? This is why I don't do it in the office. Because it's inevitable. Shit's just gonna hit the fan. Okay, so I can add oats to you. Hi, Max. You gonna eat the flour off the floor for me? So we're gonna finish off these and then I'll add the chaos cookies. Okay. Yeah, hi. That is gross stuff on the floor. Oats and raisins. Oats, 135. So what is 67 of the oats? So altogether, if you're doing the full batch, why did you turn off? If you're doing the full batch, you would need 270 grams. I'm putting a quarter in. Oops, sorry. Max is very interested in the flour. 67 grams. So we're gonna get that incorporated. Oh boy. Boy, 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 boy. And then we're gonna add the raisins. Stir. Okay, how many raisins? So altogether, 225 grams of raisins. And so I can divide that into a quarter. And I just got dough on my phone. So I need 56 grams of raisins. And I had a time finding these because they are in a really weird spot in the Safeway that we use. Some for me. I don't hate raisins. I just don't want it in food. That is a lot of raisins. Oh. Would hate to have it too many. It sucks. There's so much flour. Okay, so large tablespoonfuls onto a prepared cookie sheet, 2 inches between each cookie. Bake 9 to 13 minutes. The test kitchen, like it's a video. They also have it like on their website, if you remember. I am not. They have you bake each sheet individually. So that's sort of what I'm rolling with. Heaping tablespoons. Something like that. I'll pretty these up, don't worry. These are probably bigger than what they want. Also, test kitchen video. They reshaped them with wet hands, so let me do that. These are sticky. I already lost the benefits of the wedge. Yay. We found an extra chaos ingredient, and I've got my husband wearing noise canceling headphones so he doesn't hear this. I looked up spicy cookies. Like this recipe was the only spicy oatmeal raisin cookie I found. But for chocolate chip cookies, the secret ingredient, I guess, to make them spicy is cayenne pepper. So I should probably figure out how much they added. Hot and spicy chocolate chip cookies, 1/4 teaspoon to, let's say 2 eggs, 3/4 cup sugar there. Okay. Mexican chocolate chip cookies, 0.13 teaspoon to 1 egg. What would 0.13 teaspoon be? Is that an eighth? Yeah, that is an eighth. Okay, so we're gonna go with that. So hopefully they're not too hot. And my butter knife is dirty. Surprisingly, we didn't have this. We have all sorts of other spicy makers. Not cayenne. I got a different spoon because I don't want to cross-contaminate. Because I hate spicy. Just put it on. Don't need this everywhere. Because I need to hide it. Okay, 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 okay. I need to start it in. Oh, these are going to be angry. I really need to make sure it gets worked in so you don't just end up with a bite of all of it. Okay, so I think I've got all of that incorporated. So now I can add the other stuff. Oats first, right. So much. And hopefully the GoPro will humor me and film for a little bit more. Oh, I need a new battery. Okay, and then the raisins, I forgot how much. I also need to not drop this in there. Only one tragedy a night, please, thank you. Okay, so then bake until edges turn golden brown, about 9 to 13 minutes. Creatures will still be soft, firm up when cookies cool. Cool completely on wire rack. Okay, because the other ones you're supposed to like let them coast on the tray when you pull it. Apparently not these ones. So I will dish these out. Just in time. Check on the other ones. I'm coming. Good news is the other ones, they smell good. It's a shame they're full of raisins, but they smell good. And oatmeal. They are not done because our oven sucks. I forgot to turn off the timer. I don't want to touch these. These spread a bit. I shaped the last tray because they were like, oh, it doesn't spread much. You need to like pat them down a bit. Silly me, thinking that would also be the case here. Yeah, these are the same size. Totally. So next we will start the test kitchen ones. Okay, so for this one, it wants us to start by melting 4 tablespoons, if you're doing the full amount, butter, over low medium heat, I think. I moved the recipe because I'm full on planning ahead. And then you're supposed to like get the butter brown kind of. And then add a half cup for the full recipe of veggie oil. I'm going to be using avocado oil. So that's what's going on.
Later.
The butter didn't quite brown for me, but after everything else, I also burned my pinky catching the butter pan. It's been a night. I didn't want to push it too far. So this is, as far as I pushed it, browned butter and the 1/4 cup of veggie oil. Okay, so then we add cinnamon. Half of a half teaspoon. Cinnamon into butter. They actually did this, like the oil after the cinnamon. Can't imagine that matters too much. So if these turn out wrong, we know why. I didn't think these had cinnamon in them, so I put this lid back on. Half a quarter. Thankfully I have 1/8. Something like that. And then we add the sugars into the butter because we are making the wet tea. The full recipe calls for 3/4 cup of brown sugar and half a cup of white sugar. So just half those. Cinnamon butter. Without the veggie oil, that would be good on toast. Almost looks like applesauce. This is supposed to be more of an oat forward. So there's total, if you're doing the full recipe, 3 cups of oats and only 1 cup of flour, as opposed to the proportions we saw earlier. You may note that they were very explicit that you make this one by hand, because one of their big things was you don't want it too cakey, and with the sand mixer, you beat in a lot of air, and that makes it more cakey. That's why we're doing it the old-fashioned way. Sugar, egg. So full recipe is 1 egg and 1 yolk, so I need half a yolk. Be right back. The husband is going to have a weird assortment of egg bits tomorrow. Add egg, add egg. And they want extra yolk because
We added an extra yolk. It adds richness without being greasy.
I'm trying to do this as quick and efficient as I can. So hopefully the husband can sample them before he goes to bed. Add vanilla. And all together, big recipe, 1 teaspoon. So you know the drill. That's a substantially different amount. So the other one was a full tablespoon. We aren't doing that. I mean, they smell good. I'll give them that. So this is half teaspoon, yes. So if this doesn't get sticky, I'm gonna wipe it off. Are we forgetting anything else? No. Okay, and then I guess I didn't write down that we were supposed to, oh, yep, step 0, combine dry ingredients. For the dry team, we have 1 cup or half a cup flour. If you're doing half recipe like me, 3/4 teaspoons of salt. Half in that, please, maybe, yes. Baking soda, it wants a half teaspoon. For the full recipe. Anything else? No. Okay, so our dry team total mass is 80 grams, since we are going to be splitting this one as well. And I got the mass of that bowl, so let me figure that out. Because next we add the dry to the wet, which again, apparently is what you do with oatmeal cookies, as opposed to like every other thing I've baked. And that's okay. Hopefully everything is equally distributed in that. So we are adding dry to wet, which means I need to divide you. And apparently it's the crazy time of night. It's a little early for it, but okay. And they have a bird, or yeah, it's a bird toy. It goes chirp, chirp, chirp. That toy's new. Max was scared of it at first. Toby wasn't. He's all about it. And then I was charging it, so it wasn't chirping. And Max pulled it off the USB cable it was on. Got absolutely covered in slobber. So yeah, I need to remember to charge it later. Okay, so we added dry to wet, will be stiff. And again, this is the as intended recipe. So it's gonna be oat forward. Yeah, no, this is very stiff. You guys were not kidding. I haven't cleaned up the flour pile yet. So I don't wanna get a vacuum in here and hit everything, go everywhere. So that is incorporated. Add oats. I can read my writing. Altogether, it's supposed to be 3 cups of oats, so this is half that, and it weighed 140 grams. So I just need to add 70. Hi, Toby. Voila. C'est ça. Throw his toy. Oat forward is an understatement. I gotta get raisins in here too. Somehow. So it calls for half a cup, it needs a 1/4 cup, which means I need a 1/4 cup. I'll put an extra raisin. Extra doom. Because holy shit, guys. How are we gonna get through 4 years of this? Hopefully they just import it. Forgot how much I like raisins on their own. Okay, and so their cookies, cheesy crazy, are supposed to be 3 tablespoons of dough, flattened with wet hands to 2.5 inches in diameter. Oh my god. This is a mess. Steaky. Steaky, steaky. Like I'm trying to distribute the raisins, but oh my gosh. So they said 3 tablespoon scooper. Thankfully, that's what I've got. Fortune smiles on us after our sacrifice. So I'm just gonna scoop them and then I'll shape them when I can be by the sink. Because this is gonna be way stickier dough. Way stickier. Already tell. While I'm doing that, I can give you guys some trivia. Since I wrote backwards, so people eating my cookies wouldn't be eating pencil lead, potentially. In a little itty bitty, I think it's called Alameda, next to Oakland, there is, it's called the USS Hornet. It is like a ship museum thing. It's like a World War II aircraft carrier. You can tour it. Pro tip, if you go with a physicist who identifies himself as such when one of the docents who was bored, because nobody's paying for the tours, sees you guys checking the engine or the intakes on one of the jets that they have. My husband mentions he's a physicist, so we get like super special custom tour from the guy, including him taking us to the CIC, the Combat Information Center, something like that. I have pictures so you guys can see. It's pretty cool. War's bad, but sometimes, you know, you just gotta fight the Nazis. We got to see the CIC, and cool thing, apparently for this ship, is it picked up the first Apollo mission, come back from the moon, from the ocean, because, you know, they splashed down in those days. So they have a recording of communicating with the Apollo thingy as it was coming back. So that was cool, but related, because, you know, they didn't have fancy digital displays for everything. It was all handwritten on like these illuminated glass panels that are like blacklight reactive or something. Not entirely sure. The guys who were responsible for putting stuff on those boards wrote backwards because they were behind it so people in front could read. and he said that they weren't allowed to write normally until they got back home because it was so critical for them to be able to write backwards. So like the letters they'd write home to their loved ones would have to be backwards, and then they'd have to look in a mirror to read it. Sounds pretty cool. And then yeah, it was awesome that that guy took time out of his day to give us that. And we also got to see this like stairwell elevator thing to get people up on deck fast, like pilots. So we got to use that. That was pretty cool. I'm gonna put these in and I'll be back to tell the rest. Yeah, that is so congealed so fast. So this is the extra chaos batch. So I need to remember where I am before I continue with the story. Okay, add dry to wet. Yeah, so it was cool the guy did that for us. Well, I think he was just excited to nerd out about physics with a physicist. He showed us all of his stuff because he's like a retired airline pilot. And so we're wandering around and like you can go like 1 or 2 decks down and includes the mess hall. And there were what looked like medical tables in the lunch area of the mess hall. It's like, that's weird. And so we were debating like what they were used for, which caught the attention of another docent. This guy was an engineer. To answer that question, yes, they have medical stations all over the ship. Like there's the sick bay or whatever, but then there's just beds everywhere because you never know what the situation's going to be and who needs to be where. And like, oh, you're a physicist? Cool. Let me take you to decks that we don't normally take people to so you can see the engine. And we were like right at the ocean level, which was pretty cool because normally people don't go down there unless you get like a custom tour or show up with a physicist and nerd your way in. Okay, so then we had oats. It was pretty cool too because we got to see like the launch mechanism thing because, you know, aircraft carriers need to be able to spit jets off. 1940s, like, okay, curious, how did they do that? And apparently it was like this, originally it was, I want to say oil-based hydraulic system, but they switched to like something that was non-flammable because one time something leaked in just the top part of an aircraft carrier, or at least the compartment where all the stuff is. Apparently, it's like a series of tanks. It's still hydraulic that just like rapidly depressurize into like another tank or something to be able to launch the jet off, or the fighter. Were there jets then? Very good at history. Okay, so that's the oats, add raisins. Oh shit, I meant to put this in first. Got so excited to talk. Gross, gross, gross. I can't believe I forgot to do this the way all this is going. See Exhibit A on the floor next to me and burn pinky for Exhibit B. So now, pretend that this is going to incorporate as it needs to. It's fine. It's all fine. Wonder how many more times they're gonna set the bird off. I'm glad they're using it. It's always a gamble, right? Do any of you have a cat wheel? Like, they've come down in price since the last time I looked. I'm not sure they'll use it. Like, Toby probably would, because he's young enough. And it'd be nice to get Max more exercise. Like, it's already seen an uptick with Toby, because they wrestle, like, a couple times a day, including on me. Today, I'm asleep. Max is cuddling with me, which is fine. That's how he tells me he's hungry. Then Toby comes in and just starts in on him, so they're wrestling on top of me. Like, all right, fine, getting up. You win. So I can sleep through a lot, but I can't sleep through that. Okay, that's sort of, kind of, oh, sure. Now raisins. They're supposed to bake for roughly 10 minutes until they're set on the edges. The edges will look golden brown and the center will look not done. Then you let them sit on the cookie sheet thing for another 5 minutes so they can coast. And hopefully set up that middle. And then you cool on the rack. Don't mind me. So I will scoop these, which you guys probably don't need to see. And then we'll meet back for the taste test. So, cookies are all done and cooled off enough. So somebody can get to bed at a somewhat reasonable hour. It's only 11:11. Make a wish, I guess. You see before you 4 cookies. You have 4 cookies, and I've asked you to eat them in order. Sadly, it's too late for him to have coffee with this, so I guess you're drinking water?
One.
One.
So It didn't run flat like 2, so I like the appearance.
Okay.
Has good crumb. A little low on raisins though.
I'm gonna try to get you one that wasn't like crazy with raisins and also not sparse.
So this one obviously ran a bit. Probably the fat was too warm, or I don't know. It's got a funny bouncy texture, kind of.
So I like that texture. I like the inner part more.
I don't. I like crispy one more.
Okay.
Also, the flavor's not as good.
The flavor's not as good?
Buttery and not like oatmeal raisin-y, whatever-y.
What?
No, doesn't have very much flavor.
Really? I will tell you more about why that's interesting when you're done. Another reason.
I mean, this one looks a lot like one.
I mean, you know, I made basically 2 different batches. Kitties are zooming all over the place. Hopefully not hitting the equipment.
And this one feels like it has some burnt butter in it or whatever in it.
Really? More than that one?
It tastes more caramely burnt.
That's it? And I cooked them similar times, so it's not that.
No, it's just toastier, caramely, or roastier.
Interesting. You don't want to try 4? Okay.
Pretty similar to one. Maybe 2 just cleansed my palate a bit. So, I mean, these are the older ones, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, they had, no, these are, yes, no, you're right. They had more time to cool.
I like 4.
More than 2? Why? I'm yes, you want to try? Cajun?
Well, it didn't run as flat, so it sort of held its shape better. Also seems to have more flavor.
Any other observations before please don't step on the space bar. Before I spill the beans.
I mean, 1 and 3 are definitely alike. 2 and 4 are definitely alike.
Yes.
Yeah, if there's some secret ingredient in it, I can't discern it necessarily.
So 1 and 3 were America Test Kitchen. 2 and 4 were New York Times. So the 1 and 3 I found through Reddit looking for like best oatmeal raisin cookie recipes. And they said it's a very oat forward. And it had like half a teaspoon of vanilla, some cinnamon. You do not eat these. And had butter and vegetable oil, whereas this was just butter. And 1 and 3 had me melt the butter first, which you saw. And 2 and 4, it was cold butter that I had to cream. So 2 and 4 came up when I was searching for spicy oatmeal raisin cookies. And it's spicy in the sense that it has more spices. Half teaspoon of vanilla, the full recipe would have been a tablespoon. So these had half a tablespoon of vanilla. Ginger, cinnamon.
You made one of those.
One of those?
All the flavors means no the flavor.
A friend of ours somehow made cookies that ended up like tasting like nothing. And she said she added like a bunch of vanilla and then tasted it and like, no, it doesn't taste like anything. So she added like ginger and like it still wasn't tasting like anything. And so it just had all these spices in it and tasted like nothing. So, and also it was calling for cardamom and I thought we had cardamom. And so the ginger was instead of that. So the other difference is 3 and 4 have cayenne pepper. So, as I told them earlier, I looked up like spicy cookies and had to like clarify spicy hot cookies. So basically I tried to adapt what I saw for chocolate chip cookies to make them spicy. And so I didn't want to go too heavy on the cayenne in case it was gross. But apparently it just seems to be opening up the flavors more or something or boosting it.
Did you buy new cayenne?
Yep. I looked and we didn't have any that I could find.
The hot paprika works really well.
The what?
For adding spice. Hot paprika that we have.
I thought about that when I was up there.
It's typically a lot spicier too than the cayenne.
Okay, so the big question.
I feel like I got a little bit of heat on that bite.
Yeah.
Like the tiniest bit. Obviously my palate is also wrecked for heat,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, he's giving me 2x spicy. I'm like, no spice. Don't even look at it with spice. Question is, which is best?
3.
3? More heat or
No.
perfect with the cayenne? Or doesn't matter?
It was like a quarter teaspoon for the batch.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, it was a quarter teaspoon.
Yeah, probably good. Maybe it was inconsistent, and like, could it be that some part of the cookie didn't have some and some part of the cookie? Okay. Because like, I feel like that one bite definitely has spice in it.
Yeah. So they're super chaotic. More chaotic than I was intending. 3, the way when the split happened, I forgot to put it in when I should have. So I was having to like try to stir it in with the oatmeal.
I mean, ideally, you'd probably put it in with like the butter when you're browning it or something, right?
Yeah. So 3, that is the Cass Eris official Chaos Oatmeal Raisin Cookie of Doom.
I mean, it's my favorite cookie. You have the recipe in quarter teaspoon? So
Yes.
It was a quarter of a recipe with a quarter teaspoon?
Yes.
I would do a quarter teaspoon probably with the full recipe, even for the average person. Maybe a half, but maybe not a full teaspoon for a full recipe.
No?
No.
No bam?
I don't think you want it to be hot. You just want it to be like...
I wanted it to be hot.
Oh.
For you. Like, surprise, chaos.
Well, it wasn't
Meh.
hot, but I mean,
Doom.
define hot too, right? I can feel it at the back of my throat a little bit. I wouldn't call it burn, but then it may depend on the cayenne too.
I mean, it's new, it's fresh. So.
Yeah, but probably bottle to bottle. Like the hot paprika I have, it would have been, a quarter teaspoon would have been a lot.
I thought about it. Well, I guess you can try that at home if you want to have some extra chaos in your life. But yeah, so I will have all the recipes posted, or at least linked below, and I'll put the official recipe up in various places. Thank you for being my test
Go Team Venture!
cookie eater. And now you can go to bed, or maybe in 30 minutes you don't go to bed immediately with food there. So yeah, oatmeal raisin cookie of chaotic doom. And that's it for this video, I think. See you guys next time, where we will be looking at the intro psych course for Peterson Academy. Anyway, so until next time, bye.